So, dear participant, dear Ibolat, nice to see you here. Thank you for joining us. As I know, it's early morning in USA. My name is Lunara Zakieva. I'm the marketing manager of the School of Engineering and Digital Sciences. Dear Norbol, it's Ibolat Koyshabai. He's a SEDS graduate and he now completed his PhD in Tulane in USA. And we invited Ibolat to ask about his experience, to know more about this program. As we know, it's difficult to be chosen to these programs. And we received very impressive letter that you, with Marjana, completed PhD with good results. So could you please, let us start with the question. Could you please tell us briefly about yourself, about your studies at SEDS?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting and sharing to share my experience with the NU students. That's really, I'm privileged and I'm happy to do that. So about myself, I'm originally from Karaganda, went to high school there, and I was accepted to NU in 2010 and graduated in 2015. At that time, back then my girlfriend and now wife, we were both planning to apply for PhD because we were involved in research with Dr. Bakenov, and we really enjoyed doing research in a lab, and we decided that that's something that we'd like to follow. And we're looking on internet, like what kind of options do we have. So what was recommended is that you make about, like, depending how many you are willing and then what you think your chances are. So we made about 10 universities, like top tier university, and then middle tier university, and then safe choices. So Tulane was like in the middle, and then we chose those list of universities based on Bolashak list, because at that time we didn't know, like, usually PhD is fully funded, at least in the US. So if you're accepted, you are usually fully funded, your tuition waiver is given, and then you have your stipend. So we didn't know that at the time, and we were thinking if we are accepted, we might apply for Bolashak to get the funding to study abroad. And then because we are applying, both of us, we wanted to be together. That also a little bit complicated at our situation. We had to be accepted at the same university. So we got acceptance from Arizona State University and Tulane University. But the offer that Tulane gave us, it had, like, it seemed, at least for us, a better choice. So we ended up being at Tulane. We didn't know anything about Tulane except that it was in the Bolashak list, but so we had to learn on the go. Tulane is a, compared to the US standards, it's a relatively small university, even though it has about like 15,000 students. Our department is also considered a small department. We have about 15 faculty, and then we have about 30 to 40 graduate students. So it's a nice balance. And then there is a good diversity at the university. Usually graduate students, there are 50%. I think it's like the school's policy to have 50% domestic students and then 50% of international students. So we, at least in our cohort, we had good balance. And once you are accepted, so I should be just explaining the program, right? Am I doing that right?
Like, yes, it's interesting. Yes. Could you please explain how it differs? Is it the same concept like in?
Okay. So once you're accepted, first 2 years you'll be taking courses. It's mostly courses, graduate courses, like more. For example, for chemical engineers, it's thermodynamics, mass transport, but more in details and like more applied. So whatever you didn't cover during undergraduate programs, so those programs, and then you have a couple of electives that you can take. So first 2 years, that's you'll be taking courses, but at the same time, first semester, all the professors at the department will be presenting their work, their research focus. So they will try to recruit, actively recruit and attract new students. And then also it depends on their funding sources, like if they have funding to recruit a new student. So uh, after first semester, you'll write down your three choices first one, second, and third, and then they'll try to match according to your goal, like according to what you want to. So usually you end up getting to the lab that you really want, but there are sometimes cases when like one professor is more popular and then more people want to be in that lab, and then in that case you might get your second and third choice. uh, After second semester, so slowly you'll start getting involved in doing research, getting to know the lab, settling down. And after first year, I think first year or second year, I don't exactly remember. So you'll have a qualifying exam where you have to demonstrate that you can do a research, independent research. So you have to come up with an idea, write a proposal, and defend that in front of committee. So usually most people pass, but sometimes they fail, but they are given second chance. So that's you have to do that, retake that next year again, and then it's rarely people fail both of them. So after starting second year, it becomes heavily involved doing research, and it's completely different than being an undergraduate student where you have to just take your courses, do your homework, take your exams. So that's part of like first 2 year, but once you join a lab, your focus becomes doing research and getting good results that can be published in a peer-reviewed journal. So there it starts to diverge significantly, and at that point probably you'll realize if you like doing research or not. I've seen like people from NU, like from our cohort, or even my wife. She she didn't really enjoy being a graduate student because it becomes sometimes it's challenging because it's not open, like it's not a book you can get to go read and then get the right answers. You have to do experiments that most of the times don't work, and then there is your advisor and then funding source that requires you to generate and then hit the milestones whatever you wrote in your project. So there is some pressure going on, and your relationship with the advisor is very important. So that's why when you are given a chance that first semester to choose and then explore what kind of research directions the university has, you have to take that advantage and not only learn about their research but speak to their students. It applies to most U.S. universities. Most of them the similar way. You are given some period to find out what kind of research directions are there and what's the like students think about their lab and then their interaction about their advisors. So because you will be stuck with that person for about 4.5, 5 years, you have to make a wise decision. So my wife's advisor, he was very demanding. He himself worked a lot, but he was very demanding. So that made things a little bit hard for her. And most of the times working in the lab, for example, so after completing two years of courses, you have an option usually in the US to just graduate with the master's degree. And that's another milestone when you can reconsider. But if you think about just applying for master's, I would say apply for a PhD degree, and you have a chance to stop at different point with the master's degree if you don't like. But because usually if you apply for master's degree only, you don't get the full scholarship. But of course, it's not the best when you graduate with the master's degree only, because professors, they want a PhD student and then uh, somebody to do that work. So at Tulane, there is a good balance. So Tulane's, our department is called Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering Department. So they are trying to do a nice balance of chemical engineering, biomolecular engineering, and computational engineering. So modeling, it's not engineering, modeling. So there are about 4 or 5 professors who do material synthesis, catalysis research for different applications. And there are a couple of professors who do heavily modeling for the bio stuff, bio related research, and there is one new professor who is doing more materials modeling, catalysis modeling, and then the second large group is a biomolecular group where they do different. It's heavily so pharmaceutical related, I would say, but I don't know the exact details, but there is like 3 different big directions that you can choose from, and within those smaller directions, there are different options that you can explore. So even though the department is small, you have, I think, a lot of options to explore and choose.
Mm-hmm. And which direction did you choose?
So my wife and I, we both went to the material synthesis direction. So I was doing catalysis, synthesis of micropores and mesopores materials for catalysis and separations applications. My wife, she was doing more colloidal science. So because it's a like broad sphere, she was able to do things related to the pharma, like pharmaceutical stuff. She was able to do oil recovery, and that's why, because of she has that extensive background, she's right now working at the pharmaceutical company.
Mm-hmm. Great. And what about your studies in you? It was the same department, chemical engineering. Does
Yes.
your researches in Nazarbayev University gradually differ from what you're doing right now?
Yes, it did. We were working on battery research, rechargeable batteries. And when I was applying, I wanted, for some reason, I couldn't explain. I didn't know the details. For some reason, I wanted to do catalysis research. It seemed cool, and it's still cool. I'm still in that field. But if I would give an advice to my younger myself, I would say to go and then take that opportunity of first year and exploring other directions. So I had one set mindset. I would like to join a catalysis group, and I end up joining my like advisor who does the catalysis work.
Mm-hmm.
So and then PhD work it's not, for example, if you look for a job or become a professor later on, it's not about what you did. Usually you don't continue what you did at your whatever you did during your PhD program, because you will be directly competing with your advisor. So that's not recommended. So you have to develop your own ideas. So what PhD teaches you is that to generate ideas and have certain set of skills that you can apply to solving different problems. That's why even though I'm in the similar field right now, I'm working on different problems using my background that I gained at Tulane University.
Mm-hmm. Great. Dear participants, if you have any questions,
Yes.
you can ask now.
So, hello,
Hi.
hello, Aybot. I'm 12th grade students in Pavlodar, Nazarbayev school, and I have like question because deadline is going to finish at April on 19th April. So I have to decide to apply for engineering or geosciences department. Well, so I have just because I'm a geography, Republican geography gold winner, and I also passed to the International Earth Science Olympiad in August. So I'm thinking like my specialty maybe they will think that it's related to geology and geography, but I personally want to maybe study at engineering, specifically mechanical or electrical engineering. So I have to like decide to what department to apply, because
Yeah, I get
okay.
it. So in your case, it's undergraduate student, undergraduate program. It's slightly different, but still, it depends on the circumstances. But for example, if you're applying to US universities, usually first 2 years, you don't have to choose your program. First 2 years, you take general courses that are required depending on the whatever direction you want to follow. So, but if you get a scholarship like Bolashak, you have to decide at the beginning. So that might restrict your like flexibility. You might not have flexibility of choosing later. But if you get a scholarship or decide to like apply yourself, you have an option later on to change your field, at least in the US, if you don't like. So, but my advice would be whatever you think you like, that's what you should follow. Otherwise, you'll be miserable and you won't like, and that's not
Yes,
the best.
I agree with that, but I don't know what I like specifically, because I'm good at everything, at physics, chemistry, at engineering, at geology, at geography.
So I can give you general information. Engineering is more applied science. So you'll be trying to solve the real problems, and it might be constantly changing. But if you like more fundamental science, exploring like hard questions that might be relevant in the future, then you should follow a scientific path and then choose like a chemistry or major. But if you like solving problems and
I want to solve problems.
yeah, then probably if you have that mindset, the engineering might be the best option for you.
But I think maybe Nazarbayev University will not accept when I apply to, for example, mechanical and aerospace engineering department, because they would think maybe that applicant has lots of like good like several Olympiads that related to mostly to geosciences, to geology and geography. Maybe they'll just they will not accept me because I'm applying to engineering.
I hope it really doesn't work like that, but because you're a talented student and you are young, it's what matters is your potential, and I hope whoever is coordinating the undergraduate applications, I hope they will consider, and then your motivational letter or personal statement is another important factor where you explain why you want to apply in different directions. So you can explain it there, but of course, I don't want to decide for you. You have to decide it. So I can just recommend you.
Yes.
Yes, I want to add that of course, you can write everything in your motivation letter and explain everything to the admissions committee. Also, in Nazarbayev University, if, for example, you start if you will apply for mechanical engineering, you start 1 year and then you decided to change, it's possible to change the major during the first year.
But it's possible,
so you have
but if the seats are available, I think. So maybe seats are closed for mechanical engineering, when then my path would collapse.
I suppose that you should try to apply. So everything is possible. As I know, even the master students or PhD students can apply to different majors that they had previously. So it's possible.
Okay, thanks.
I think there is a question.
Yes, in the chat box.
So for a PhD applying, right now, during our time, you had to take a GRE. That was mandatory for almost all the universities, and you had to write your personal statement and then, of course, your transcript from the university. But now I know that most universities are starting or some of them are waiving GRE. So you might be just required to fill out the application form online and write your personal statement or motivation letter of motivation or something like that. So I would say personal statement or whatever essay they are required. That's important, very important to, because that's a chance for them to learn about you, because grades are great, but it can't define what kind of person you are. So in that essay letter, you have an opportunity to deliver a message. What are your goals? Why you are seeking these specific programs? So take that letter very seriously and work on it, like I would say for some time. And then different universities, they have slightly different requirements. So change that letter depending on what they are asking. So when we were applying to Tulane University, because it was first time somebody was applying from NU to Tulane. So my advisor, he was coordinating the graduate program at that time. He then told me that he didn't really look at our GPA because he didn't know like if he can trust that number or not, like what kind of university is that. So he was basically looking at our GRE score and our motivational letter. So those universities, some universities who are not familiar with the new, they might be looking at like whatever they can trust. So GRE, but GRE, of course, I would recommend to take it, and then it's a good thing to have in your back pocket, and if it's required to show it.
If I'm not mistaken, so you finished bachelor's degree in Nazarbayev University, yes? About.
Yeah.
Okay, so you chose chemical engineering at that time, and you passed SAT, if I'm not mistaken, too.
No, during our time there was no SAT. It was like
okay.
foundation and then like first year. So, but chemical engineering, I of course at that time I didn't know. It sounded cool in being engineer, so that's how I end up being as a chemical engineer.
Yes, you know, so that's the same as me. I don't know what to choose even now.
Yeah, it's a hard choice. I hope you end up.
It was more of an instinct, yeah, when choosing chemical engineering.
Yeah. So I was a chemistry Olympiad student, and then my friend and he was basically he was who is the like who influenced me to become a chemical engineer, and then I just followed his path. To be honest.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe you could give us some. Sorry, Polat, please.
No, okay. I can ask like tons of questions if I can.
So I wanted to ask some maybe tips how to be prepared, because you and your wife, you prepared a lot of, you've chosen this list of universities, how it worked, on what we should put more attention, pay attention while choosing the university to apply, or maybe how to be prepared. Maybe we should give more emphasis on the graduates who graduated this university and so on. Could you please advise us?
So I would say that of course preparing for the tests, it's obvious. If you have time, extra time, prepare for them in advance. I would recommend to start doing that a year before, because GRE at least, so it requires a good vocabulary and writing skills, which you can't just improve within a month or two. Probably the quantitative part where you have to solve problems, you can do that like in a short period of time, but improving your vocabulary and critical thinking skills, it will require some time. So if you can start in advance, that's better. And for choosing universities, so because we had a limited information, we were just looking at the ranking and then looking what we can get. But experiencing that, I would say it's very important to think ahead what you want. So look what kind of research directions. So first, try to be involved in research right now. See if you like it doing that, if you're enjoying being in the lab and then exploring new things. So if you enjoy that, then probably you'll enjoy doing PhD. So if you feel that you need the PhD, then make a list of universities based on what kind of research directions are there and then what kind of professors. So look at the publication list that person has. Every professor have, like, so for example, some of them might not be active, like especially some old professors, because it's close to retirement, they might not be recruiting any new students. So even though that person is cool, it might be that like he's close to retirement, so he's not active in the research, and you might not learn much from him. So look at the research directions, publications that that person have, patents or technologies that a person has developed, and how many students do they have. And then usually when you write if you want to learn about the lab, uh, writing to professors is writing to nowhere usually, because they receive tons of emails and they don't usually respond. The best way is just to write a letter to the graduate student who is working in that lab, and then to get some tips. And usually they are responsive because they know they've been in that place where they were trying to find a university research direction. So they most probably will help out you. So after finding out what direction you want, like what, and then if that university has research direction that you're interested in, there is a cool professor, and go ahead and apply. But also there are other things to consider, like work-life balance. Tulane University in New Orleans was a great place. It ended up being a great place. It's a university located in New Orleans. It's not that like U.S. standards. It's not the biggest city, but it was a city, a nice city that you had all the opportunities besides university. So you could go out and then enjoy your life. The weather is very nice. It's always warm. There is no winter there. It's always green, sunny. And then so the work life and work balance was great. So it wasn't demanding. You didn't have to stay late every time. You didn't have to work on the weekends. Some top universities and professors, that's what they demand. And it's just, there is almost sometimes no time for just enjoying yourself. So that's another thing to consider. You might be wanting like going to MIT, but the joke is that at MIT, lights never turn off in the lab. So that's like somebody's working every time 24/7. So do you really want that? So that's something to consider. At Tulane, we had a really nice balance. We were able to enjoy our life at the same time to do our work properly, and then get good results and to like find something nice after graduating. So those things are also important to consider.
Can I interrupt? I mean, you said about MIT that's because MIT puts a lot of stress, and you can not like spend time on that specific lab, something on what you do.
It's just it's the very competitive and demanding environment. So you have to produce results. So
Yeah, but MIT.
Yeah.
But because students choose Ivy League university only because of environment, I think, because there's a lot of smart students, lots of connections. So maybe like because of connections, because you know somebody, and that somebody tells you something, you can like achieve better results, right?
Yes. I mean, it all depends. So the MIT is a great environment, as you said, and then there are a lot of smart people there, and you can either learn from them or you can fail again. Like it depends on you. It's just opportunity. So there is a better opportunity at MIT, and then it depends on you if you are going to grab that opportunity and become successful. So at Tulane, you still have that opportunity, but it's like a lot less. But still, you can be successful, and then there are other people who were successful at Tulane. So it all depends, but the cost that you'll pay, for example, because it's like environment that requires to be at the top, that means you have to be extra productive, but which requires more time spending in the lab, doing research. So what I'm saying is that if you really enjoy that, of course there is no problem about that. But being a family person, I wouldn't say that would be the best for a family, for example.
Okay. So in my case, like I'm thinking, because I have SAT, like maybe for example I'll apply to bachelor's degree to US. Yes, I'm planning on it. But the problem is I cannot apply to just this like other universities. Not I'm applying to universities that will give me full financial aid, and universities that give that full financial aid are the top ones,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. So you have to, if you don't have money, like I do, you have to aim higher, kind of. But maybe if I'll study bachelor's degree here and apply to master's again in the United States, I think that opportunities will grow because there is a high demand for master's degree than bachelor's.
I mean, I remember myself at that point. I had a similar thinking, but life is not competition. I mean, it's you can be, so you have to, successful doesn't always equal to happiness. So you have to find a balance. You can graduate with NU, and then there are plenty of people who are happy with what they are doing right now and then doing a great things. And then there are plenty of people who graduated from US university, top universities, and they're still not happy like with their current situation. So it's all relative. So I would say try to find about what you enjoy and what you might enjoy. Where do you see yourself in 10, 20 years? And even with the NU, I mean, there are plenty of people who I know after graduating NU who went to MIT, Stanford, other places. So it's not a limitation. You can, if you're smart and bright and then open-minded, you can get whatever you want.
Yes, because I agree with that, because uh, applying for bachelor's degree in the US will put a lot of stress and financial stress to my family. So by studying bachelor's degree here in Astana, I think in that 4 years I can maybe earn some money, maybe become more smart about financially and about life. So that's my opinion right now.
Yeah, and NU is a great school. I mean, whatever all the knowledge that we got at NU, my wife and I, that was we were at top of our at Tulane, and with the background that we had at NU, that was good enough to be good at Tulane. So NU is very good school, and I'm pretty sure that it has been improving over time. When we were studying there, it was a brand new, and then there were some experiments going on, like what kind of program to set up, and people were coming and going. So I'm pretty sure NU gives you a quality education that will improve you and then prepare a nice skill set that you can apply in the future. So NU is a great place. I recommend NU.
And I'm just curious. So you kind of finished PhD in Tulane?
Yes, I graduated from Tulane in December, and my wife also graduated. Right now, I'm working at Oak Ridge National Lab. It's in the U.S. also. I'm doing research.
You're kind of staying in US, yes? You have like lots of perspectives, lots of plans related to United States.
It depends, but in the long term, we see ourselves back at home in Kazakhstan. So as I said, PhD, it just gives you skill sets and then teaches you how to generate ideas and solve problems. So PhD, that's what the experience you get that's mainly what you learn. But what currently I'm doing is that I'm trying to be independent researcher right now to find my own direction. So I can lead that.
Okay. Thanks.
So graduating as a PhD, it's not. I don't think it's good enough right now. If I go back to Kazakhstan, I don't think I can open a lab. Nobody is going to give me that opportunity to open a lab and then
Yes,
do
that's
research,
true also.
do the research that I want to do. Probably I will be working for someone else. So that's not what I really want.
But with that degree and lots of background, lots of connections, are you planning to maybe turn your like skills into business, or maybe like, because I think you have lots of opportunities, so maybe you
Yeah,
can
it
work
is.
on that to be more successful.
Yeah, it is interesting to business, but not really. I enjoy being in the lab, working in the lab. So that's how I am. I would rather be in the lab.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
But okay,
Yes, please.
again, for example, what about other like PhD students in Tulane after graduating PhD? What did they do with their life? Because like PhD is the end of, I think, is the end of all that education. Maybe they have to work somewhere else. Maybe you had some friends in Tulane University, and what did they choose? What did they do with their lives?
Okay. So PhD, when I was applying to PhD, I was thinking that PhD is just, so you do your PhD and you become a professor, and that's not true at all. All big companies, they have research and development centers where they do research, where they try to find next generation products, next generation, to solve next generation problems. And usually people who are solving those are people with the PhD degree in most cases. So if you want to become a professor, usually you have to go to a top university, and that's what they are known for, to producing professors. But at Tulane, most people went to companies to do research. So I know that, like, at least during my 5 year stay there, I know that about 30–40% went to Intel Corporation.
Wow.
About 20–30% went to pharmaceuticals, and the other rest in different directions in different
Wow.
places.
If they went to pharmaceuticals or like Intel company, I mean, they're earning like lots of money, I think, yes?
Yes, I mean,
That,
that's of course, yeah, that's one factor that decides. Usually becoming a professor, it's not high paying, but if you like doing that, you have a lot of freedom there. Being a professor, it's you get a lot of freedom. You do what you like, as long as you can get funding to do the research that you like. But company, you have to do whatever company is planning for the next years, for next 5–10 years, and you have to solve their problems. So you're paid well, but you are doing someone's like you're following someone's instructions in most cases.
okay. But so that's the right association that engineers like, oh, everybody wants engineers. Engineering is relevant nowadays in future.
Yeah, but R&D, it's not just engineering. It's a different background. People go physics, chemistry. They are all required at those companies. So it's not just only engineering. There are people who do computational modeling stuff. So there are different, a lot of different opportunities. It's not just only engineering.
So it's not late to go for engineering, even if I studied mostly geology and geography until 12th grade, because I'm
No,
now
no,
12th
no,
grade.
no, no. Of course not. I mean, there are opportunities to. So, for example, our department is chemical engineering, and my wife is working in a pharmaceutical. It's like she's doing more bio stuff, biomolecular, biology stuff. So, it's not necessarily so. She was able to transfer her skills to that new field, and that's what's important.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. very much, Bulat, for your questions. Dear participants, do you have any other questions? So, any questions? I asked all my questions, and with the help of Bulat, we discovered different fields, different concerns of our, I suppose, for the future students at Nazarbayev University or the graduate students. Thank you very much, Bulat, for sharing your experience, sharing your thoughts. It was really interesting. I think it was a productive meeting for our students who participate, for the participants who were with us. Thank you very much, dear participants. Thank you for being active. I recorded this session, and I don't mind that I will send it to our students. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you all for your questions.
And Bulat, can you share your some context? So maybe if I have some questions, I can contact you.
Sure, yeah. I'll write down it in the chat. So that's my new email that I still use, and that might require alumni there. I'm not sure because there has been changes recently.
There were the changes with the alumni.
So it's alumni NU dot.
I suppose so. I will check it out. Just a second.
So you respond to that Gmail, yes?
Yes, I will respond to that. I mean, it might take like several days, but I will definitely get back to you. So if I don't respond right away, don't be upset. I will get back to you. So there are so many emails that I have, and then things that sometimes I forget about that. Even though I see your email, I might forget to reply right away. Okay.
Okay, that's kind of you.
Thank you very much. So have a good day, dear participants. Hope to see you among our students. If you are not our student, Bulat, please think about studying at SEDS. It's a good opportunity, I suppose. But of course, you are free to choose university.
Study at what?
Today at SEDS, School of Engineering and Digital Sciences. So in Nazarbayev University, we have different schools. Bulat.
Departments.
Yes. It's not the department, по-русски это как факультет, потому что внутри школы есть департамент. So it works like this in Nazarbayev University. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Good luck in your future endeavors, students.
Thank you.